This touching story will shake your soul. Before diving into it, right where you are watching the video from, Rebecca Chen had endured 32 New Year's Eves in solitude. But this particular night carried a sharper ache than all the previous ones combined. Perhaps the pain stemmed from weeks of observing her colleagues craft elaborate celebration plans, while she quietly manufactured excuses about non-existent commitments. Jennifer, from Human Resources, was attending some exclusive rooftop gathering with her partner. David, from Corporate Law, had secured reservations at that notoriously impossible restaurant in the financial district. Even the summer interns had organized themselves into a group expedition to some warehouse party in Brooklyn that promised exactly the kind of crowded social chaos Rebecca would sooner avoid than death itself. Or perhaps this year hurt more acutely because for the first time in 3 years of employment under Alexander Hayes, she had actually entertained fantasies about spending midnight with someone specific, with him, which represented the pinnacle of foolishness and unprofessionalism and absolute futility, because men like Alexander never noticed women like Rebecca. She existed as his executive assistant, competent and invisible, the variety of person who melted seamlessly into office architecture. She maintained his calendar, screened his communications, orchestrated his professional existence, then returned each evening to a cramped apartment in Queens, where the sole living entity awaiting her arrival was a struggling jade plant she had christened Walter. Walter provided terrible companionship. He possessed insufficient courtesy to expire properly, instead persisting in his state of aesthetically displeasing survival, silently critiquing her lifestyle decisions. Tonight, Rebecca had negotiated peace with her circumstances by purchasing premium wine instead of the budget selection, arranging a romantic comedy she had consumed 12 times previously, and selecting her most comfortable sleepwear, the set featuring illustrated penguins that had been a Christmas gift to herself since nobody else was purchasing her presents. Her parents had perished in an automobile collision when she was 9. No siblings existed, no extended relatives who demonstrated concern for the orphaned child who had navigated the foster system until emancipation at 18. She had worked relentlessly, scholarships and student loans and dual employment throughout university, relocating to New York at 28 with a business administration degree and precisely 0 interpersonal capabilities. 3 years in the metropolitan area, and she still had not cultivated friendships, not authentic ones, merely workplace acquaintances who excluded her from social gatherings because she remained excessively quiet, awkwardly uncomfortable, transparently anxious in group situations. The issue was not that Rebecca rejected the concept of friendship. She simply lacked understanding of the formation process, lacked comprehension of how to become the variety of person others desired in their proximity, lacked knowledge of casual conversation techniques or networking strategies, or whatever mysterious activities normal individuals engaged in that resulted in possessing plans on New Year's Eve. Consequently, here she sat at 9:15 on December 31st, positioned on her sofa wearing penguin pajamas, consuming wine still too inexpensive to qualify as genuinely good, observing fictional characters experience romance on screen, while contemplating whether society deemed 10 o'clock an acceptable bedtime simply to accelerate the evening's conclusion. Her phone illuminated with an incoming message, work correspondence, because, naturally, it was. Alexander. Happy New Year, Rebecca. Enjoy your evening. She studied the message with confusion. Alexander never initiated contact beyond business hours unless circumstances qualified as urgent. Never engaged in casual conversation. Never acknowledged holidays or weekends or the theoretical existence of her personal life beyond his office. Not that she possessed one, but his awareness of that fact should have been limited. This communication felt distinctly unusual. Rebecca composed her response carefully. Thank you. The same to you. Professional, appropriate, revealing nothing whatsoever. 3 animated dots materialized, vanished, materialized again. Alexander. Big plans tonight? Rebecca's cardiovascular system performed something complicated and irregular. He was initiating actual, genuine conversation with her on New Year's Eve. She should fabricate something, claim attendance at some party, mention waiting friends, describe plans that excluded cartoon penguins and discount wine. Instead, she typed, "Just a quiet evening at home. You?" The dots appeared again, persisting longer this time. Alexander, charity gala downtown, 200 individuals I have no desire to converse with, wearing formal attire I despise, wishing I occupied literally any alternative location. Rebecca blinked at her phone screen in surprise. This exceeded her expectations for candor. Alexander maintained constant control, measured responses, professional demeanor without exception. This felt different somehow, personal in nature. Rebecca, that sounds unpleasant. Alexander, it is profoundly unpleasant. The champagne quality is mediocre, and someone's elderly relative keeps attempting matchmaking with her niece, who maintains a collection of antique porcelain figurines. She possesses 1,800 of them in her apartment, where she resides alone. Rebecca laughed audibly, an involuntary sound. Alexander possessed humor. She had suspected this quality existed, but had never witnessed it directed toward her personally. Rebecca, 1,800? Alexander, she provided very specific numerical data. Also detailed information regarding their individual names. All of them. Apparently, an entire mythology exists. Rebecca, that is genuinely disturbing. Alexander, that constitutes my evening entertainment. How is yours progressing? Rebecca surveyed her surroundings. Wine bottle. Movie frozen on opening credits. Walter the jade plant judging her from the windowsill location. Penguin pajamas. Complete absence of human companionship. Rebecca, significantly fewer porcelain figurines involved.
Consider yourself fortunate.
The conversation terminated there. Rebecca stared at her phone for 5 full minutes, anticipating continuation, but nothing further arrived. He had probably been recalled into the terrible gala with its mediocre champagne and the figurine collector. She resumed her movie playback. By 11 o'clock, Rebecca had finished the wine entirely, which probably constituted an error, and was experiencing tears during the sequence where the romantic protagonists nearly miss each other at the airport terminal, but then don't because of destiny or timing or whatever romantic comedy magic makes everything resolve perfectly. "This is pathetic," she informed Walter. "I am crying at a movie I have watched a dozen times while wearing penguin pajamas on New Year's Eve. This represents a new minimum standard." Walter offered no response. He was a plant. Also, he was somewhat unpleasant in character. On the television screen, crowds were assembling in Times Square for the countdown sequence. Rebecca muted the audio. She felt no need to hear thousands of happy people celebrating collectively while she sat alone in her apartment, addressing botanical life. 11:30 arrived. Rebecca contemplated retiring to bed, simply bypassing midnight entirely. If she achieved sleep, she could not experience sadness about solitude. That almost qualified as healthy coping mechanisms. She had progressed halfway to her bedroom when her phone buzzed again. Alexander. Still awake? Rebecca's heart performed an irregular leap. She typed immediately, then deleted it, then typed again, then deleted that as well, concerned about appearing desperate despite absolutely being desperate. Finally, she sent, "Yes, movie is almost finished." Alexander. Good movie? Rebecca. I have watched it 12 times. It is objectively mediocre, but I appreciate it anyway. Alexander. The best kind of movie. 11:45. Her phone remained silent. Rebecca returned to the sofa, deactivated the television, sat in the silence of her apartment. 15 minutes until a new year commenced. She would spend it exactly like the previous one. Alone, working excessively, returning home to an empty apartment, pretending she was fine. 11:50. Her apartment buzzer sounded. Rebecca froze in place. Nobody ever buzzed her apartment. She never received deliveries this late. Possessed no friends who appeared spontaneously. Her neighbors were strangers who maintained distance. She walked to the intercom system, pressed the button. A familiar voice emerged. Rebecca. It is Alexander. May I come up? Rebecca's brain ceased functioning properly. Alexander, her employer, at her apartment at 11:50 on New Year's Eve. What? Why are you? May I come up? He repeated. Please. She activated the door release without conscious thought, then immediately panicked. Her apartment was catastrophic. She was wearing penguin pajamas. She had consumed an entire bottle of wine. Her hair was contained in a messy arrangement held together by a pencil. She probably had mascara smudged beneath her eyes from crying at the ridiculous movie. 30 seconds to make herself presentable. That was her allocation. Rebecca ran to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, confirmed she looked exactly as pathetic as suspected. She splashed water on her face, attempted to fix her hair, abandoned the effort, and was walking back to the living room when someone knocked on her door. Soft 3 knocks. Rebecca opened it. Alexander Hayes stood in her hallway, still in his formal attire from the gala, bow tie undone and hanging loose around his neck, looking unfairly attractive and completely out of place in her questionable Queens apartment building. "Hello," he said. "Hello," Rebecca managed. Her brain was not operating correctly. "What are you doing here? Why are you? May I come in?" She stepped aside. He walked past her into her small living room, surveyed her discount furniture and struggling plant, and the television still showing the paused romantic comedy. "You said you were watching a movie," he observed. "I was. I am. It is almost finished." Rebecca closed the door, suddenly intensely aware she was wearing penguin pajamas. "Alexander, what are you doing here?" He turned to face her directly. In the confined space of her apartment, he seemed larger somehow, more present. The energy of him filled the room completely. "I could not do it," he said. "Do what? Spend another midnight pretending I do not want to be somewhere else? With someone else?" He stepped closer. "With you." Rebecca's heart stopped functioning. "What?" "I have been at that terrible gala for 3 hours thinking about you sitting here alone watching a mediocre movie you have seen 12 times. Thinking about how you never have plans because you do not have anyone. Thinking about how every time I ask what you did over the weekend, you say nothing much because you spent it alone. Thinking about how I have wanted to do something about that for 8 months, but did not because you are my executive assistant and I am your employer, and there are rules about that kind of thing." He paused. "But forget the rules. It is New Year's Eve. You are alone. I am supposed to be at a party I hate, and all I want is to be here with you." So I left. From somewhere outside, Rebecca heard people counting down. 30 seconds to midnight. "You left your gala," she said stupidly. "I left everything. Drove across the city, probably violated several traffic laws." He was still moving closer. "To get here, to you, before midnight." "Why?" Rebecca whispered. "Because I am tired of pretending I do not notice you. I am tired of acting like you are just my executive assistant when you are so much more than that. I am tired of watching you be lonely when I am lonely too, and we could be significantly less lonely together." 10 seconds. He was directly in front of her now, close enough that she could smell his cologne, see the flecks of amber in his dark eyes, feel the heat radiating from him. "Rebecca," he said softly, "may I kiss you?" 5 seconds. "Yes," she breathed. His hand came up to her waist, pulled her against him with confidence and intention. His other hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone with unexpected tenderness. 3, 2, 1. "Happy New Year," Alexander murmured against her lips. And then he kissed her. Not gentle, not tentative. He kissed her like he had been thinking about it for months, which apparently he had. Like he was claiming her, like the tension that had been building between them for 8 months had finally exploded into something neither of them could ignore anymore. Rebecca's hands fisted in his jacket, pulling him closer, kissing him back with all the loneliness and wanting and desperate hope she had been suppressing for 3 years. Outside, fireworks exploded. People cheered. The new year began. Inside Rebecca's questionable queen's apartment, Alexander Hayes kissed his executive assistant like she was the only thing that mattered in the world. When they finally separated, both breathing hard, Alexander rested his forehead against hers. "I am sorry," he said. "For what?" "For waiting so long. For letting you spend 32 New Years alone. For not doing this 8 months ago when I first realized I was in love with you." Rebecca's breath caught. "You are in love with me?" "Completely. Probably inappropriately. Definitely unprofessionally." He smiled. "But yes, I am in love with you, Rebecca Chen. Have been since you told me my 11 o'clock meeting was a waste of time and I should cancel it because the person was completely unreliable." You were right, by the way. He was completely unreliable. "That was my 3rd week working for you." "I know. I have been gone for you since week 3. Just took me 3 years to do something about it." His thumb traced her jaw. "Tell me I am not insane. Tell me you feel this too." "I feel it," Rebecca whispered. "I have felt it for so long. I thought I was imagining it. Thought it was just me being lonely and pathetic and projecting onto my employer because he is the only person who talks to me regularly." "You are not pathetic. You are incredible. You are brilliant and funny, and you do not tolerate nonsense from anyone, including me. You are the best part of my day every day, and I am sorry it took me this long to tell you. You are here now. That is what matters." "I am here now," he agreed. "And I am not leaving. Not tonight. Not ever, if you will have me." "I am wearing penguin pajamas," Rebecca said, "and I cried at a romantic comedy. And I talked to my jade plant. You should probably know all of that before you commit to anything." Alexander laughed. Actually laughed, warm and genuine and completely unguarded. "I love the penguin pajamas. They are adorable. And crying at romantic comedies is normal. And talking to plants is fine. Walter needs someone to talk to." Rebecca blinked. "You know my plant's name?" "You mentioned it once, 8 months ago. I remember everything you tell me, Rebecca. Every detail, every small thing you think does not matter. It all matters to me." She kissed him again. Could not help it. This man, her employer, her secret obsession, the person she had been secretly in love with for 3 years, had driven across the city on New Year's Eve to spend midnight with her because he could not stand the thought of her being alone. "Stay," she said when they pulled apart. "I know it is late, and this is sudden, and we probably need to discuss the work implications, but stay, please. There is nowhere else I would rather be." They ended up on her sofa, Rebecca curled against Alexander's side, his arm around her, watching the terrible romantic comedy she had seen 12 times because he said he wanted to see what she had been crying about. "This is actually quite mediocre," he said, halfway through. "I told you. But I see the appeal. Sometimes mediocre is exactly what you need." "Is that a metaphor for me?" "No. You are excellent. The movie is mediocre. There is a difference." He kissed the top of her head. "Best New Year's Eve I have ever had. You spent it in Queens watching a bad movie with your executive assistant in penguin pajamas instead of at a fancy gala. Exactly. Significant upgrade. The penguin pajamas really elevate the experience." Rebecca laughed, feeling something warm and unfamiliar blooming in her chest. Happiness. Hope. The possibility that maybe, finally, she would not have to spend every holiday alone. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for coming here, for not letting me spend another New Year by myself. Thank you for letting me in, for not thinking I was insane for appearing unannounced at midnight. I did think you were insane. Fair. But you let me kiss you anyway. Best decision I made all year." Year just started. You have time to make better ones. Doubtful. This one is pretty hard to top. They fell asleep on her sofa around 3 in the morning, wrapped around each other, the movie still playing in the background. Rebecca woke at dawn to find Alexander watching her, his expression soft in the early light. "Hello," he said. "Hello. You are still here. Told you I was not leaving. I thought maybe I dreamed the whole night. You appearing, the kiss, all of it. Not a dream. Very real." He brushed hair from her face. "And we are going to have to talk about it. About us, about work, about what happens Monday when we are back in the office. Monday seems very far away. It is 2 days away. Still far." Rebecca moved closer. "Can we just pretend it is still New Year for a little longer? Stay in this moment where everything is perfect and uncomplicated? Nothing about us is going to be uncomplicated. I am your employer. You are my executive assistant. We work together every day. My family is going to have opinions. Loud, invasive Chinese family opinions about everything from your background to when we are getting married to how many children we are having. There are going to be complications, I know. But," he kissed her forehead, "I do not care. We will figure it out together. Because spending New Year's Eve with you in penguin pajamas, watching a mediocre romantic comedy, was better than any gala or party or appropriate social event I have ever attended. And I want more of that. More of you. All of you. Even the talking to plants part. Especially that part. Walter needs someone who appreciates him." Rebecca laughed and kissed him and thought that maybe, finally, after 32 years of being alone, she had found someone worth staying for. Someone who had driven across the city at midnight just to make sure she was not spending another New Year's Eve by herself. Someone who thought her penguin pajamas were adorable instead of pathetic. Someone who was looking at her right now like she was the best thing that had ever happened to him. And maybe, just maybe, she was done being lonely.